Basically, we're going to go over the CSS flex property. I have a simple index.html file I created. I have a CSS folder with a main.css file. And that's all we're going to need to start out with. So the way this works is you want to make a container. We're going to use a regular div with the class of container. For this demonstration, we're going to create 3 more elements. They're going to be divs. They each have a different class, box 1, box 2, box 3. And I put some content in there just to help for the example. I'm also going to triple these. I'm just going to copy and paste twice. Save that file. Load it up in Chrome. And this is what it looks like without any styling. My main.css, I put the margin to 0. That way the divs have 0 border. They go all the way to the edge. I'll show you. First, we're going to start with our container class. Let's give it a background color so we can see it. I'll do RGBA, and then right there is fine. Save it, refresh. So this is going to be our container div. And then remember, we have our 3 boxes. So I'm just going to copy and paste this code and then we'll go over it. So the background is basically similar to what we just set it to. I'm giving everything a border radius. I just like how it looks better, and some padding just for styling. And so our 3 boxes, I'm going to give them background colors. They're slightly different. I'm going to set their width to 300 pixels. Give them a little margin, give them a little padding, give them a little extra padding, and give them rounded corners. Same for each one. So when we save this and we reload our sheet, there we go. We got all our divs. They're lined up. It was straight out of the box with CSS. So what we're going to do now is we're going to apply flex. It's very simple. All you do is display. We're going to do flex. Save that. Reload your page. There we go. That's how flex works out of the box. Does like the inline elements with just one command, one definition of a property. It's really cool. Got examples here. I got a live example up. I'll put the link down below. So the next thing that's really cool is you could order the way your divs are lined up without changing the HTML. So simple. I like to keep it separate also, that way you could apply it to different elements without having to attach it to everything else. So I'm just going to copy and paste this here and then we'll go over it. So I just made 3 different classes, item 1, 2, and 3, and I did the order property and did 2 different values, 1 and 3. And the reason why I do this, because it's interesting, when they have the same number, they'll alternate the divs. So let's go into our HTML, save this, and let's go into our HTML, and let's add these classes. So we'll give, so it's, just to save time, I'm going to delete these again. I'm just going to correspond with the box number, with the item number. I'm going to copy this again and paste it 2 more times. Save it, and let's reload. See what that does. So this is the order without the order set. You got box 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, just like the HTML. Now with the order set, so we have box 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, and then box 2, because box 2 has an item order of 3. Box 1 and 3, they share the same order number, and so they will alternate. So another example, we could just put this as 2. And we can refresh our page. And now we have a new layout. It's really cool. Keeps things organized a lot easier. And that's awesome. So now let's make things look a little bit better. We're going to use the Flexwrap property. So underneath your display flex in your parent container, you do flex wrap and set it to wrap. There's a few different options. You could do wrap reverse. See, watch. It'll show up automatically if you're using Atom. You got no wrap, wrap, and wrap reverse. Wrap reverse is self-explanatory. It just aligns things opposite to the way they're laid out in the HTML. We're just going to use wrap. It seems to be standard, because if we want to change the order, we'll just do it with the order property. So we're going to save that. And then we're going to refresh. That's a beautiful thing. So now it follows the CSS, gives everything the proper width of 300 pixels that we had set, and it wraps the items to the bottom line. So if your browser is bigger, it moves up automatically. If it's smaller, it goes down to a smaller thing. That's responsiveness right out the box. It's really awesome with the new CSS properties of Flex. So once you have it wrapped around, what's really cool for styling is adding the justify content property. So I'm going to take this code and I'm going to replace our items classes with this code. I'm going to set all the orders back to 1 because it doesn't really matter at this point for the example. But I added flex grow to each item. And I put a different value, so we have 1, 4, and 5. So when we save this, actually, let's before we do flex grow, let's undo that. Control Z brings us back to what it is. I want to show you the justify content property. This is really cool if you're going to do a gallery situation. So underneath flex wrap, do justify content. And justify content has about 5 different options. You have center, flex end, flex start, space around, and space between. So let's pick one. Let's do space around. Let's save this in our parent container. When you refresh the page, it creates a space around each div that is equal and even. Still have the same responsiveness, just a little bit better in organization. It's really great if you're doing like a gallery situation and you have an image that's a certain size that's not really going to be responsive to different size divs, and you want to keep them all the same size. Justify content is awesome. Let's try one of these other options so you can see what it does. So space between is very similar to space around, except for the side padding. So let's save that and refresh our page, and so now we have space between. It keeps things flush to the edges. My favorite is space around. I think it works the best. You can do flex end. That'll bring everything to the right side of the page. And flex start. Oops. Bring everything to the right side of the page. But yes, my personal favorite is space around. Bam. So I just wanted to show you that real fast. It's really awesome. However, there's even a better way to have your content fit the screen. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to save it. Refresh the screen. It's back to the default. And now we're going to go ahead and add in the grow items. So we're just going to add flex.grow to your child items. That's the divs inside, the element within the main flex element. And we did a flex grow 1 for item 1, flex grow 4 for item 2, and flex grow 5 for item 3. So let's save that and then refresh our page and I'll show you what happens. It fills up all the space naturally depending on the flex grow order. So since item number 1, which is box 1, has a default of flex grow 1, it's going to take up the least amount of space. Flex grow 4, it's telling the browser that it can get a little bit bigger when the browser gets bigger. So that's box number 2. In a smaller browser size, you're not going to see the effect as much as you on a larger one. And then item number 3 can grow to number 5, so it'll take up the full width of the row that it seems to be on, along based on what Flexwrap does with it. So if we have flex grow implemented, you can get smaller and it's still responsive. However, you can get bigger, and depending on what number you put on the box is how big the browser is going to let it grow. And I think that's a really cool responsive layout design using just CSS. No extra libraries, literally a couple lines of code and you are good to go. If you have any questions, be sure to comment. If you do anything cool with this, please leave links. I like to check it out. And thank you. Hope you guys all have a great weekend.